Hello and welcome to the What's On podcast. This is episode 7. My name is Zachary.
My name is Ryan.
And today we're going to be talking about the new release, the new Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. We went and saw it yesterday and just thought we'd make a podcast talking about our thoughts on it and the finale to this franchise.
Get it in quick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Make sure our memory's fresh.
Well, literally we went and saw it yesterday, which was the premiere, so definitely won the first.
Aye.
So, we'll just go into a bit of the news that's happened over the last week and then go into the main stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I didn't see much this week, but a couple of funny things I saw was, one, do you know, there's the Matrix 4 coming out, and John Wick, there's going to be a John Wick 4 as well.
Okay.
And both of them are coming out on the same day.
That's quite good.
So it's
Keanu Reeves getting everything there.
Oh, it's people are like marketing it as it's Keanu versus Keanu.
How would you do that? Because if you had like a premiere, would you go to both of them at the same time?
That's the thing.
I'll just go to that one and then I'll go to that one.
Pretty much, people are gonna have to like choose like which one they want to see. Like it's like, do I prefer Neo or do I prefer John Wick?
Neo, sorry.
Yeah.
I prefer the Matrix.
But then again, I've not seen any information to do with like the Matrix. I've seen they've done some casting, but not like I don't know a lot of plot details, if any. The Witch comes out today. We're recording today on the 20th, so I think this will come out on the 27th, but today's the 20th and The Witcher comes out, which we've been pretty hyped for, so looking forward to checking it out, but it's too early to have seen an episode this morning, so we're looking forward to watching that for the remainder of this weekend.
Came out 2 hours ago.
Yeah, binge session this weekend. I saw James Cameron's mentioned he put out things saying he thinks Avatar 2 is going to beat Endgame in the box office.
Oh.
And
I don't know.
I don't think it will.
I don't know the plot about what's going to happen. It's just going to be the same.
It's like going further into this world, but I think like Avatar was the big thing at the time, like the new visuals, the new technology they've had to implement to make this film. First like incorporation of a proper 3D film as well, when everyone was going like, you have to see this in IMAX, you have to see this in high definition, you have to see this in all this ways, and that's why it got so big. As well as it being a really good film.
Yeah.
I think it was a really good film, but I don't think it can regress that, especially after all waiting as well. And
a lot of the stuff, like obviously they did like 3D, HD, and all that. It's kind of like it's moved on because it was 2009 when it came out. Obviously that's kind of. It's either never used now, or it's just the norm.
Yeah.
Simple ones.
I think Endgame is going to take quite a bit to beat for any film because of just how big an audience they built.
Well, that's it. I mean, this is the second film. That was like the 20 seconds, so it kind of works that way. One I've got was, did you see that the teaser trailer for A Quiet Place 2 has been released?
I've not seen the trailer, but I did see it was released.
It's literally just like a 30-second snippet. And it's got more symbolism in it than anything. I mean, it's just like, how when they walked around, they had the paths that they put all the gravel on or whatever, the sand, so that they couldn't be heard.
Yeah.
They got to the end of one of the paths.
Right.
She looked at her kids. Kid nodded. And
kept going.
Off. And then that was it. Stopped.
Lovely.
30 seconds of that. So.
Did you say when it's been released?
It's next year.
Yeah.
I think it said March.
Okay.
So it's quite close. March 2020.
Christopher Nolan's just brought out a trailer for his new film. It's called Tenet. And good trailer. Like, classic Nolan, messes with time.
Yeah.
Like stuff going backwards, reversing time. Like one scene at the end of it's like there's bullet holes in the wall and they're coming in and saying this hasn't happened yet. And time starts reversing, you'd have to watch the trailer.
That's strange.
Or it just looks like classic Nolan, messing with time, making a bit timey-wimey, wobbly. So, always interested in that one.
Another one I got was pretty funny news. Was I'm pretty sure you must have seen it. The USA, when they were listing their trade partners, they accidentally listed Wakanda as a trade partner.
It's great.
How? I do not know. I mean, you've got to be proofreading that, but
I think it's some guy who's just gone, it's my last day, let's do something interesting.
We're getting some vibranium today from Wakanda.
They're very secret, they're so secret they've made a film but they still don't know where they are. The trailer I saw yesterday, which I know you and a friend of ours already knew about, was 1917.
Yeah.
That looks really interesting, which I didn't know about before, which is a war film set in 1917. I can't really describe much more than that, really.
It's obviously it's during World War One, and 2 soldiers are given the task of delivering a message before the morning to stop an attack, which would be a massacre.
Yeah.
And one of the messengers' brother is in that company that they need to stop.
Yeah.
But it's obviously them traversing through the war, trying to get to the company. So it looks really good, and it's set like, well, the way that it's been shot, it makes it look like it's as if it's one continuous roll.
Okay.
Which is quite a cool way to.
Is that meant to be throughout the entire film?
Throughout the entire film, it's one. It looks like one continuous roll, one continuous take, which is must be bloody hard.
Yeah, if they can pull it off.
Yeah,
really good. Again, trailer from yesterday, Wonder Woman 1984. I think like it looks good. I think like DC, I think that's the only character they're really doing well with at the moment. It's like film wise. Although in the trailer it shows the character of Steve, can't remember his last name, being alive again, and it seems to be the character from the first Wonder Woman, and not some sort of reincarnation or future relative or anything like that. It seems to be that version, which I think it could still be a good film, but it sort of like takes away from the original film because it did have that dramatic ending, sacrifice himself, like.
But this is obviously like set years ago, isn't it? So he's going to be alive if it's set in '84. If that works. No, it doesn't work. I can't remember much about Wonder Woman. I'm messed up.
No. Game of the Year has been was the Game Awards were between recordings of our podcast, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice won it, which I was happy about because I really enjoyed the game. FromSoft, Dark Souls game, so if you know them, and they do really good games. I am surprised it did win, but I did want them to win just because of the quality of the game. One thing I really enjoyed, because I know you're getting it this Christmas, was it's a game designed where you can't become like overpowered in it. Whenever you beat a boss, you get memories which you use to increase your attack power.
Okay.
And you can only increase your attack power going through the bosses, which means you can never be OP for the boss. You can only have to get better in order to beat them, or find some sort of trick. You can find some way to spam. I know some certain bosses you can spam, but that's the same in every game, isn't it? Yeah. Always some sort of way. So I was happy about that, and then a few of the other games were out there was like Death Stranding and Outer Worlds Control, Resident Evil. I don't think Resident Evil 2 actually won anything.
I didn't see.
But yeah, Death Stranding won a few things, which wasn't surprising. Like game direction, which I totally agreed with. Massive game, but I agree with that. Although it was a bit, because I know you didn't watch it, it was just me who decided to stay up all night, all morning watching it, was some of the awards, like the presented at the stage, like Game of the Year, Game Direction, I would say big ones, but then there was others like Best Voice Performance of the Year and Best Esports, all that stuff, that they announced like on the side, like that you went to a commentator who said, and the best winner, not on the stage, but just like side part, is, so like Mads Mikkelsen won for Best Voice Performance of the Year. So like they announced it and then they moved on to the next one really quickly. So I didn't really get
it's a bit strange,
how they separated like which of the important ones and which one, because I thought like a voice performance would be a big one.
You would, wouldn't
they
you?
just like went off to the side, said it, and then moved on.
Because that's kind of like on par for best like actor or actress, wasn't it? You'd think.
I found that a bit weird, but it must be just time restrictions.
Maybe.
Ozil, like this is to do with like Pez. So I don't know, like I don't follow football, but I saw this just because it's had the far-reaching effect. Was a football player in the English Football League called Ozil, who plays for Arsenal. He made comments towards the Chinese treatment of Uyghur.
It's a specific Muslim type. Like their treatment of Muslims and go on.
So he made those comments like condemning it, saying this is wrong pretty much. And China removed their live game, which was Arsenal versus another team, which was set to go live on their television, and replaced it with another football match, and also removed him from the game PES, which is Pro Evolution Soccer. So they've moved him from all versions of that game. So it's safe to say they're not very pleased with that.
That's pretty petty.
It is
very petty.
That was something else in game. And one last thing from the Game Awards was the Xbox I can't remember what the actual name, but the new Xbox has been announced, which
Mhm.
looks basically like a box, actually. But yeah,
Clues in the name.
what's the name? I can't remember.
Xbox. I don't know the name.
I know it's Xbox something, but same stuff, bigger storage, faster, new games, better engine, comes out next year. I think PS5 comes out next year, but I don't think it'll be released as much about it yet.
Much released about PS5, which I'm waiting for.
Yeah. All the news I saw for this week. You see anything else?
Nothing else. Those are the ones I've seen.
Right. So that's news, and now it's going to like the main stuff, which was obviously Rise of Skywalker. First of all, this is obviously going to be spoiler filled. Like, this is a review, this is a talk about the movie. So I know it came out yesterday, but this is spoiler filled. So don't listen if you've not watched it. Come back after you watched it. So starting off, like, it had a very quick exposition filled start to the film, didn't it? Like, just in like the opening credits, it introduced Palpatine. It set the time. It was like, this is a year after The Last Jedi. It sets Rey training with Leia, or getting trained by Leia. Kylo Ren searching after Palpatine and joining forces, as it were.
Yeah.
And also gets rid of the Snoke thing as well, didn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what we saw. I mean, like, it kind of, obviously, like, we thought Snoke was going to be quite big, like, when it came up in The Force Awakens. But then we realised, no, he's not. But then, because obviously at the start we saw in VATs or whatever it was, like clones.
Just clones of Snoke.
Just clones of Snoke. So obviously that's kind of, I'll explain that away. Snoke was never really the big one. He was just being strung along.
Pretty much by Palpatine, or literally a clone that he controlled.
Yeah.
And something I read into afterwards was, at that start, when there's various voices that Palpatine does, it's like, those were the voices of Snoke, of Palpatine, of Vader, I think, as well.
Yeah.
All being the voices that have changed the way Ben Solo turned into Kylo Ren.
But I think that start was quite good because it showed you the stakes of failure if they were to lose. I mean, it showed you the massive fleet that Palpatine had made on this Sith world, which was massive and got to say a bit over
the top,
massively over the top. That was a lot of ships.
I mean, it was like, he's been hiding away for so long. Don't know why he waited so long, just because he's got this massive fleet that seems to outnumber even the First Order.
Well, that was,
or at least power-wise as well.
It was a good 30 odd years, wasn't it? He's been hiding away.
Yeah.
It's just strange, isn't it? I mean, like, you never really, because one of the things I found about Palpatine is, like, you never explained how he got back.
Yeah, I think it's both a bad and a good thing, because the bad thing is, it's just like, okay, you got chucked down, you essentially blew up, and the Death Star blew up with you as well. How did you survive? But it's also, if they did give an explanation, it'd be very difficult to find one that fans wouldn't try to pick apart. And by not saying anything, they probably sort of got around that, really.
Yeah.
Because they can just say, oh, he's just there.
He's just back.
He's just there. Just
Sith in a way.
Sith powers. But the visuals for this film were really good, especially during that starting scene, like the light speed skipping.
Yeah.
Like going through various worlds and just skipping. I thought the visuals were really nice throughout the whole film, really.
Kind of makes it gives it a bit more of like a scale, doesn't it? How many worlds can you throw in?
Yeah. And I also found it good that with the like enemy pilot ships following them through it, like they were skipping behind them like immediately. I thought that was really good because previously it's just been stop off into high speed to get away, but now they're like following them literally.
I mean, they never gave an explanation as to how they could do that either.
I think that was a Johnson like incorporation in the Last Jedi though, isn't it? Which I think J.J. Abrams like brushed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so visuals were really good, and one of the best scenes was at the end when all those ships come, music starts flaring. I really like the visuals because it was like each individual ship, even though there was like hundreds and hundreds, they'd made the effort to make each one of them, and you could see at least some features and even the far out ones.
But you could see differences as well. It wasn't like a copy and paste type CGI type thing.
But yeah, it was like with that Snoke thing being like a puppet. It's sort of like, I don't know. It takes away from those first two films because he's been set up with the first two, and then Palpatine's like come from behind, and took it. But it's also with like the film directing, isn't it? It's like Abrams coming in at the end to like try and fix it all. Because I don't know whether like if Abrams had kept all three of them, that Snoke would have been the big bad for the whole thing.
Maybe, possibly, yeah. But then obviously like what happened with the second one happened, and then he's had to come in and direct the last one and try and fix the mess that it was.
I mean, I read into he did an interview where he talked about like they offered him to do 8 and 9, but he said with the timelines he would have been almost certainly burnt out from it because he was like doing post production of Force Awakens when Rian Johnson like finished the script or started writing the script, which would have been Abrams trying to do that as well, and with the 2-year scheduling that Disney put on them, like saying we want it on 2020, 2019, 2017, 2015.
Yeah.
Then we want that schedule. So
it's quite close, isn't it?
Yeah. And he said it was too close for him to be able to put out proper content, especially with the pressure on. Yeah. This is a massive franchise I'm trying to bring back after 20 years, 10 years or something.
It's fair though, isn't it?
It's
pretty fair. I thought though that with this one, it was kind of like a fresh plot in a way. It's not as copy and paste as some of the others have been.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were saying, like A Force Awakens was good and it brought the franchise back, but it wasn't. It was pretty much just copying A New Hope. And then I said the same with The Last Jedi. In a way, it was copying a lot of Empire Strikes Back, but this wasn't copying like the Return of the Jedi. So it was fresh. It was good. It changed.
It was definitely its own thing.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like obviously it embraced a lot of other stuff. Like it took inspiration from both old and made new stuff.
Yeah,
because I mean we had quite a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah,
in it because you've got Chewie's still about, the Millennium Falcon's still about. You then meet Lando Calrissian again.
Yep.
He's back. Leia's obviously still in it for now.
I do feel like this was, even though they did have that, they were more side pieces.
Yeah.
And this focus was truly on the new characters. Like it was truly on Rey, it was truly on Finn, Poe, and Kylo or Ben Solo, whichever you prefer. It's, even though, as it has been with last year, because it's the Skywalker saga 1 to 9, so it had to also take pieces from it, and it's the final to this story. This was the first film I felt that truly kept it just to them, like it was about them.
It gave them more story, didn't it? It expanded their characters, so you know a bit more about them rather than just being there as filler between like old characters and stuff. So that it definitely did that, like you said.
I think they did a really good job with the Carrie Fisher's Leia scenes, even though it was unfortunate because you can tell
she wasn't actually there.
Sort of, you can tell like the awkwardness of some of the scenes because they've had to work dialogue around the footage that they have of her.
Yeah.
But even with that, they've done a good job
making
her a key part of the film.
I mean, they've kind of like been able to like hone the craft when it comes to that because they had to do it in Rogue One as well, didn't they? With Talkin. I can't remember the actor's name, but obviously they had to do the same with him, and that one kind of shows. This one's a bit better when it comes to it. I mean, you've got to work with what you've got.
Some parts is just me like watching films like when they've got the back turned, you know that it's a different actress and just putting voiceover. So that's nothing wrong. That's just being a film
using what you have.
Review, knowing how films are produced. But the way they did it and incorporated it, I thought was really good. And the introduction of like a lightsaber and her being more Jedi-wise as opposed to those. I know there's some aspects in like the expanded universe of her being more of Force stuff, but in the films there was none of it until this. Obviously, last film she did the like Force Superman, like getting back into the
that thing.
But
to be honest, it's kind of good that they did because she is the sister of Luke.
Yeah,
so she's going to have the daughter of Anakin, and still the daughter of Anakin. So she's going to have powers. Obviously, she is.
And they had a really good flashback scene of Luke and Leia sparring.
Yeah, sure.
And the CGI'd the younger faces onto them as well.
Which was pretty good.
I thought that was really good. Especially, and a small thing which was quite nice was the green lightsaber they used. What happened to that?
The green lightsaber? What, for
Luke?
I don't know. Did he must have got rid of it or something.
Just chucked it. Because the blue one that Rey buries, that's Anakin's.
Yeah.
and
The other one was
Luke's one, which broke in Last Jedi, was blue.
Yeah.
So where's the green one started off to?
We'd have to look into it a bit more and find
There's
out.
probably
where the hell that's gone.
some comic somewhere that explains it, but that's just Potter's head.
Can't lose his green one. Not the green one.
I liked Rey's golden one at the end.
Yeah, the yellow one, like type one. It's good. I mean, it gives it a bit more extra. I mean, if you look into the expanded universe, there's specific colours for what you are when it comes to your force powers. I mean, obviously we know when Mace Windu wanted his lightsaber, he wanted it purple, did he?
Yeah, just so we could see where he was.
Just so we could see where he was. But in the expanded universe, they've used that and said that if you're a purple, you're kind of like on the side of between light and dark as well. You're quite a powerful Jedi towards the dark side. You've got anger, but you use it for the light. It's a bit of a weird one. It's the same like the blue lightsaber is for just normal knights that prefer to use lightsabers than the force powers, and green is for more force powery people who prefer to use their powers, like Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, Luke, which in a way you could use with Luke's not having his lightsaber because he prefers to use his force powers.
Yeah,
it's a very long-winded type thing. I mean, there is an explanation for the yellow one, but I can't remember it. Right. There is a specific thing, but that's like expanded universe, and this is just different. It's just they've given Rey the yellow.
I mean, it might have meaning for like people who are like super fans who know this sort of stuff. Who go, "Oh, I know why she's got
that." Yeah,
I felt like the hilt was very good, like the claw thing going up. I don't know on the hilt. Yeah,
I think if I looked at it right, she used that staff that she had, and you incorporated that into her lightsaber.
That could be interesting.
If you have a look at it again, like that big staff that she had, I think she must have used a part of that and made that into a lightsaber.
That'd be interesting. I'll have to have a re-go over the image of that. So a big thing. I think this was the film that used the biggest amount or variety of methods of the Force. This definitely, everything previous to this has been tricks, Jedi mind tricks, Force push, pulling, lifting, choking, telekinesis basically. This brought a lot more variety of ways. Some I found a bit iffy. Some I enjoyed. So I was just going to go through. So one that I enjoyed was, to a point, was the Force healing, where Rey developed this power to heal people and creatures through the Force. I enjoyed that. It was a good addition to this set of powers that the Force gives them. But to the point that I didn't like it was at the end, which was Rey dying from exertion. It was Kylo or Ben Solo at that point resurrecting her. Which I didn't like.
It's I mean, like, she's dead now.
And
we've literally been told you can't bring back the dead. Because if you did that, then that just opened up a whole can of worms. Like, why didn't someone really powerful like Yoda or something try and bring back some other people? It's or maybe it's one of those healing ones where it's only a few people can do it. I mean, because we've obviously been told that Rey's quite powerful. And she's obviously, she is, spoilers, she is a Palpatine. So she's going to be very, very powerful. So there's obviously only a few people that can do it. But then obviously, Ben used it. He's only seen Rey use it once. He's like, I can do it now.
And he's apparently drained from the life force. So, and that again, the Palpatine draining them of life force to rejuvenate himself. That was a new.
That was interesting, wasn't it?
Because the point that he makes is the bond between you two so strong. It's what I can draw from. I don't know.
Bit of a convoluted explanation.
I understand why it was the reason. The reason that had to happen was because there had to be a big villain scene, a big, quotations big battle. There had to be a final confrontation with Palpatine, and it would be a bit harsh to beat up a beaten up guy. It would have been a bit iffy, but that's the way they brought it in. But then it goes into the final fight scene. If she's so drained, if they're both so drained, how do they overpower this person who's meant to be the strongest Force user in the universe for the last 100 years?
And he's literally just drained the life out of
or
the both of you,
against one person.
and you've just killed him now. Fantastic. Something Mace Windu and all the other Jedi Masters could never do, and you've done it.
Yeah, just by holding your lightsabers up.
Yeah, using your lightsabers and directing the lightning back
that was the thing, right at the start of that scene, when even before he drained them of life force, he was stronger than them. Like he held up the lightsabers. They held up the lightsabers, and then he lifted them up. Lightsabers went to the side, picked them up, drained them, got stronger. You could say, rejuvenated. Then after that, he uses lightning, which then reflects on himself, killing him. One, stop using lightning.
Yeah.
Two, just do what you did before. Lift her up, chuck lightsabers to the side.
Come on, think about it.
Do a bit of Darth Vader stuff. Neck choking and such like.
Just think about it a bit instead of just, oh yeah, we're going to keep going. Because it seems like the lightning power is his only power.
Yeah, well, it seems like he's obsessed with it.
Yeah, very, very obsessed.
And you wouldn't think he'd forgets I know it's about 30 years ago now, or longer, because that's the original series, so many decades ago, but she's I remember when I had a fight in a room where this has happened before. Well, I tried using lightning and it ended badly for me.
Would have been about 60 years then, wouldn't it? Would have been a while.
I probably shouldn't try this again. Oh, go on then. Let's give it.
Tried it again. I've done it again. And this time, instead of being weak, I've died.
Yeah, it's had to just pride me.
Yeah. A thing I didn't like when it comes to the lightning is it seems like the film was trying to portray that only Palpatines can use lightning, which isn't the case. It's not the case. The Force lightning is a dark side force power. It's not for just the Palpatines. Because if you remember, Dooku could do it. He's not a Palpatine. Dooku could do it. That's a
Yoda could do it.
Yoda, well,
I know you don't like that.
Like I say, you can. Anyone can do it. It's not just like an inherent ability of the Palpatines. It's something you've got to learn. It's something you've got to be a dark side user for.
Palpatine's trademark, though. He's actually
it is his trademark.
Copyrighted it.
Yeah, it is his trademark, but it's kind of like it kind of portrays that because as someone if someone wasn't a super fan, who'd think, oh, Palpatines, they can just use Force lightning and stuff.
They talk about the scene with Rey as well when they're trying to stop the carrier.
Yeah, and she just loses control. Force lightning it. That's it. Sorted. You're gone.
Made a bit of that.
Yeah,
and I think that was the biggest showing, because that was the bit where it's he's so overpowered.
Yeah,
was when he took out basically the entire fleet just through Force lightning. And he shot into the sky, stopped everything, and thinking about the actual details behind it would be how much focus must it take, or how does that work, where he's able to target all the ships in that vast amount of space and miss his own.
That's got to take some concentration.
It's got to, and I don't know how that would work, really.
It's an interesting one, isn't it?
And it's a demonstration of the power of him as well, which again links back to how was he defeated so easily. So I wasn't happy with the way he went out, but I know there wasn't many ways they could do it.
No.
Another one that was a good introduction, it made good story points, but I didn't like it myself, was the sort of teleportation aspect of the Force. The fact that due to this bond that Rey and Kylo have, they can physically interact with the space around them and take stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit strange because it was when we was obviously it wasn't just the teleporting part; it was the fighting each other. But they're in different places. I mean, how would that work?
The teleporting aspect, I'm thinking of
objects,
the necklace,
the necklace,
transport,
Vader's
mask,
and then at the end the lightsaber. But I'm saying from that that type of thing, it's the same with obviously them fighting. They've got to kind of teleport themselves to that place to fight them, because otherwise it's just going to look a bit weird. Because
someone just watching swing.
The Stormtroopers will just be watching Kylo Ren talking, trying to hit somebody. There's nothing there, and it's he's actually lost the plot. What is he doing?
It's thank God that they always find a nice empty space that no one's around them.
Nobody else is.
Well, Kylo doesn't have to moan too much, because if anyone argues with him, it's just
he just kills them.
Yeah. Rey's probably just the luckiest, because she always finds an empty spot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good for points of the film, finding a talking, the conversing. I found this like type conversing better than the Last Jedi, because even though it was essentially the same thing with a bit of an edit teleportation aspect to it, it was a lot more interesting than the just back and forth thing that Last Jedi had.
Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? It's just instead
put your shirt on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it, but it was also iffy.
One thing that I thought about as well is when it comes to Force powers, as one is the Force Ghost. It seems a lot of them are doing it now, and again, it seems like the films are portraying that all Jedi's when they die become a Force Ghost. Because you had Luke in the last one, then you had Leia when she used all her strength to just say Ben, drop your life, and then that's it. And then you obviously had Ben when he died. He became a Force Ghost as well. It's like, you do realise, right, to be a Force Ghost, it takes a lot.
This was apparently something that you needed tons of training to do. Like, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, it was like, Yoda says to Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon's going to come in and teach you all the aspects and how to do this.
He's got a task for you while you're in exile. You know, it's going to take a while for him to do it, and then Kylo Ren can just do it.
Done it. Leia, I can sort of believe, because you never know what her training's been, and she might have had it as a hobby.
Maybe Luke told her about it.
Yeah, and Luke's had God knows how many years else he's sodded off to this island.
Yeah, a few of them fair enough, but
Kylo Ren is a definite no-no.
That's not right. Unless maybe it's a side effect of the healing. But then again, no.
I think it's just one. It's a good way to get rid of the character.
That's it. He's gone now.
And they can probably just say like Leia, because they disappeared at the same time, didn't they? So she probably had a hand in it.
No, she didn't disappear at the same time.
They did. When Kylo disappeared, that's when Leia disappeared. Because the body was still there when Poe was there, remember?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I thought she died when she said Ben, but then the Force Ghost stayed until he went. Sorry. Yeah, my bad.
Another one so I just want to talk about like cameos. There's quite a few, some just audible and some actually in presence. One was Han, which I saw to be either hallucination or memory vision, or like some sort of him just conflicting with himself and talking to a vision of his father, because I think it was like, maybe it's a Force Ghost, but he's never been trained in the Force.
Well, the way that I thought about it was, it's not a Force Ghost because he wasn't a Force user. It's more like Kylo Ren, conflicting with his own emotions, and because of that, the Force is like projecting his emotions into the figure of his dad, who he's got most issues with when it comes to it. So obviously that's like face it right now, kind of way. Which was, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I enjoyed the inclusion. And he still looks alright for God knows how old he is now.
He must be nearly 80 now. But it's the case of like, when you look at it, it was good because it went through The Force Awakens just before Han died. It pretty much said the same thing, like, I don't know if I've got the strength I know what I have to do. And then it's like, yeah, I do. And then he goes, Dad. And then that's it, you know.
Yeah.
You know now that he's Ben again. He's not Kylo Ren anymore, which was good.
So the one was Luke, so he comes and gives Rey a scolding when she tries doing the same as he did. Just comes to the island and just try and sod up away from everything. I thought when she beat Kylo or Ben and left, I thought she was going to Exegol.
You reckon? Yeah.
Like, when she left in the carrier and she arrived at the island, I was thinking, what the heck is she doing here?
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, she's having a paddy. Because
she's having a massive paddy.
Sith lineage. I thought it was a good inclusion. It was a quite funny entrance when she chucked her lightsaber and he like grabbed it from outside.
Don't do that.
Like, I like this lightsaber. I don't know when the green one's gone, but I like this one.
Stop doing that now.
I think that was good, and I think even though it was only a short part, I think it was also a better inclusion than he was in the whole of Last Jedi. I mean, I don't want this to be like a whole thing on Last Jedi, but this was like just a really good movie. And I think the best, pretty good. I think the best of the trilogy as well.
Another cameo obviously was Lando.
Yep,
Lando Calrissian. That was a good inclusion in a way,
and he definitely was a part of it as well, wasn't he? Character, like, he's not played it since the Return of the Jedi. So,
It's been a while.
But he's still brought it in, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Exactly, he's brought what he is.
But
obviously, like you said before, like even though we've had all these cameos and everything, it's not like overshadowed.
Yeah,
overcome all of the others. I mean, like, because I liked how obviously with Finn they expanded his character into like you were a stormtrooper, you had the feeling to stop, and then you brought in these other deserters as well.
Yeah.
That obviously showed that he wasn't just the only one. They're not just mindless soldiers.
Yeah.
They can think about what they want to do.
Mm. It was nice that they brought in more stormtroopers that turned the back on it, and they were not these just generic people in white helmets.
Yeah, it's good how kind of a cameo, but also like, it's a cameo of a place, Endor. They brought Endor back in
with the Ewoks.
Yeah, well, that was at the end, but I'm saying like because that was where the Death Star ruins were, which was quite good.
And then the final like collaboration cameo was during. Well, there was several like there was this during the start. We already mentioned like James Earl Jones, Andy Serkis, like Snoke and Darth Vader, and then during the final part, I actually went and looked it up afterwards. But like the final part with the Jedi's talking to Rey, so that was Neeson, both versions of Obi-Wan, so Ewan McGregor and Alec something, Goodwin, is it?
I think so, yeah. Something like
that. Anakin, so the Hayden Christensen version, Yoda, obviously, Mace Windu. And then they also brought in characters from other aspects, not just films. So they brought in Ahsoka, which is a character from Clone Wars. Kanan, which I believe is a character from Star Wars Rebels, which was new TV. And apparently they brought in the character. Now, this one they can't confirm because he's done a lot of animated characters, but the voice of Galen Marek from The Force Unleashed.
Oh, okay.
But he's done a lot of characters, so you can't really narrow down which one it was. But I think it was Galen Marek because from what it was canon.
Yeah.
So they brought in a lot, and so all the main ones. But at the time, I couldn't really differentiate them because they do speak quite.
That's pretty good, I don't know.
Not so Yoda, but
you can hear that.
So throughout the whole 3 films, it's been a big thing on like Rey's parentage. Like, there's been a big focus. Like the first film was, who is this random girl who's taken over as the main character, as it were. Then the second film, it was she's no one, she's her own thing. And then third film, it's not the parents, it's the grandparent.
Yeah, but in a way, it's her parents as well. I mean, a mum. I think Palpatine. It was Palpatine's son, her father.
Yeah.
So that one was a bit weird. I felt.
Which regard?
When the hell did Palpatine have a son? To be honest,
I mean,
that one's weird.
He must have had quite a bit of free time. All he did is sit in his chair for Empire.
Who would have his kid? Who would have his kid? He's like not the most evil person ever, and you're like, yeah, I'll have your kid.
I'm into that.
I'm into that. But it's the fact that his son obviously wasn't steered towards the dark side. He was, like I said, no, and he tried to protect.
Right.
Yeah. And then Palpatine pretty much had them killed.
Yeah.
And then obviously to bring in Rey, it was just a bit weird.
I mean, it was like everything was. Again, this is back to the Abrams coming in to close it all together. But from the start, it's been kill Rey, kill Rey, kill Rey, kill Rey. Yeah. Even at the start of this film, it was I charge you, Kylo, with going and killing the scavenger, and then at the end, I've wanted you to come and be the Empress of the Empire.
What?
Just like. You've been getting a lot of mixed messages, Grandpa.
Lots of mixed messages. It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
And then one of the small things, like because I mentioned in The Last Jedi, I didn't like the character of Hux, General Hux, and in this new one,
that was strange.
This was a funny moment for us. I don't know if people would find it. I think it's just our humour, but when he was like, "I don't want you to win. I just want Kylo Ren to lose," it was just like.
Well, that means they win then.
Strange. Found it funny, and I still didn't really like the character, but it was sort of a good turning because it's sort of a good way to get rid of the character.
Yeah.
Because he gets obviously shot afterwards by the
General Pride,
who's been in it since the original start, original trilogy. So I thought it was a good way to end the character, but I think we
it was just a bit.
We found it funny as opposed to what it was meant to be, really.
Like a twist or whatever. It's like, nah. bit predictable, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Do you want to go?
One thing I found a bit weird was Finn and his love interest.
Yeah, I had that because he had like 3 on the or two,
Yeah.
two and a half on the go.
Well, we obviously had from the Last Jedi we had Rose, but that was played down a lot in this one.
That was taken out.
That was pretty much taken out. I mean, I kind of like that they did that because Rose was really annoying, like really annoying. Like obviously, you know the part that I hate.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to Last Jedi, we don't win by fighting. We win by saving what we love. Yeah, but you do that by fighting, don't you, Rose?
And then you have the other Stormtrooper, which I say and a half because some sort of romantic interest in there, but it wasn't explicit.
Yeah, with Janna. That wasn't much.
No.
But then obviously it was with Rey a little bit.
And it never sort of went anywhere.
That was one of the things I had as a loose end.
Because it was like the first half of the film, it sort of like meandered around it, and then like when they're getting drained into the metal sand, it was like, I've got something to tell you, and I'm not going to get back to it for the whole film.
I'll tell you later. Never does. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we know what he wanted to say.
But then it's weird because of the Rose character.
Yeah. That was a bit too much, wasn't it? It was a bit off.
It just seemed a weird inclusion.
Yeah, it was a bit strange. Because I mean, then you had obviously Rey kissing Kylo.
Yeah, that was. I didn't need it.
I don't think that was needed.
It wasn't needed, but I know why it was there. It was because he was about to. He gonna die and disappear. So they needed some big finale moment for him to go out on, and a kiss is more dramatic than a hug.
A lot of love interest going on during the war, isn't there? I mean, because you had Poe and can't remember what that woman was called from there.
Oh, I can't remember her name. She was a good character.
Yeah.
Enjoyed her character.
That was quite funny at the end where he was like, yeah.
Like raising his eyebrow.
Yeah. Nope.
Okay,
got it.
An interesting one, because you've not played Uncharted, have you?
No.
The dress up that Poe has, like the thing across his thing and the white shirt and the belt, he looks a spitting image of the Drake character from Uncharted 3.
Really?
And I listened to a thing by Nolan North, who's the voice actor for Drake in those games, and he knows J.J. Abrams is a big fan of the games, and he asked him, and he said it's intentional, an intentional likeness.
Oh, fair enough.
Funny introduction characters was the Babu Frick.
Babu Frank, yeah.
That was
funny.
He was a funny character, like the little engineering little whatever it was.
Brought him back up for the fight at the end. Yeah! Just made everyone laugh. Because I find like the Star Wars, like the modern ones, like it makes you laugh a bit more as well.
Yeah.
It's got quite a few light-hearted things in it. It's really funny.
Yeah.
I did like that.
It was a good character throughout.
A few questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think this film did the series justice?
What, to be a finale of the 9 films? I think so, because I think it was a good ending to everything. It finalised most things, apart from those characters, which they could always do in a new film. And I think they pretty much finished everything off, and they sort of kept like overarching things like Palpatine being basically the villain of the entire saga now, 1, 2, 9. And then like each stage is like the first stage. We've talked about this in the previous podcast, but like the first stage being like the setup for the Empire with the Skywalkers, that Skywalker conflict, and then like the post, like the results of that initial fight, the remnants of that, like Han, Luke, like the original characters, and how it was cleared up, how the remnants of the Empire, the First Order, that now has been cleared up. So I think it did a very good job of closing everything. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it did. I think it was a really good film, and I think, like you said, a lot of the storylines were brought to the right end in a way, and closed off what it is now, because you can't do much. You can't keep milking the Skywalkers and Palpatine now, really, can you? So they need to try and do something new, and I think they've definitely closed this way off quite well. Just one thing, like maybe at the end, which I still don't understand, is why did Rey call herself a Skywalker? I don't understand that.
I think she did that because her, like when she saw the visions of Luke and Leia, that's because it's like it's mentioned earlier, like the 3 films have been like a parentage of Rey. I think she's like accepted them as her parents, as Luke as a dad and Leia as her mum, although Luke I can't really see as much just because we didn't really have much interaction. Leia can see, but I think that's the reason why she took their name as a Skywalker.
Maybe as well because of where she was, because Tatooine, yet again.
Oh, she got nostalgic and just thought, you know what would be a really good name from this sand?
I'm going to go back to the place where it all was. Tatooine is like the most visited planet in the Star Wars saga. It's got to be. It'll be ridiculous.
It's one they kept going back to anyway.
Yeah.
The Dobot, like the wheel bot.
That was strange.
It was a strange one, but found out J.J. Abrams voiced that robot.
Did it?
Yeah. So it's a way of putting himself in the film.
Yeah. That Dio film was just weird. I don't understand why. It was kind of like, have you seen Toy Story 4?
No.
Have you heard about Forky?
I've seen it.
It's like that, really, isn't it? It's just like a makeshift little thing that I just thrown in. It's quite funny.
And then the thing, like C-3PO in the film, I felt they included, like he had a lot of dialogue, like a relatively large amount of dialogue in comparison to other films during the first half, leading up to his apparent sacrifice.
Yeah.
And then it was reversed by R2-D2 putting in a memory pack.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, even though it would have been sad,
yeah,
I would have preferred for him to have actually lost his memory. Like,
do you reckon?
I felt it just to put a big focus on him, and I thought it was for this payoff of him like losing memory or something like that. And then they scrap it, and then they basically scrap
Bring him back, yeah.
So that whole build-up, it still had that payoff of him sacrificing himself, but it's like sort of went back on itself again.
Yeah, a bit of a strange one, but it's the case of do you want to like mess up with everyone and then completely get rid of C-3PO there, or make him back to his original way?
I think it would have had more meaning for what he did.
Possibly, yeah.
Because now it's just, I mean, he even stated, R2 just have the storage. Oh, he does.
Yeah, true.
So I think it would have had more meaning. I understand why they did it, because it's just like notable character. I think he's the only character. Oh well, him and R2-D2 are the only characters that have been in every Star Wars film. But yeah, that was my thoughts. And then it was just the battle scenes in it. They had some of the best battle scenes I thought of the entire series.
It was pretty good. I did like the fights.
So the ones I noted was like Kylo versus Rey on the Death Star remnants. Thought that was really good because
I think that was one of my favourite.
Incorporation of Force and lightsaber battles. Really good. Sort of like when he with Leia at the end, like call him as a winning. Like fair enough. But the actual fight with the waves, the Force use, I really enjoyed.
It was really good, wasn't it? It was action packed.
Definitely. And then the only other one was the final battle with Palpatine, and associated like Kylo has to fight the Knights of Ren. Finally make an appearance.
There was one that I kind of thought was like maybe when I said before, obviously like they didn't copy. I think they kind of did a bit here. It was the speeder scene.
Yeah,
that was kind of like maybe copying off the speeder scene from Return of the Jedi a little bit, but that was pretty good. I did like that.
First thing I thought when they were going to that was pod racing. When he started fiddling with the wires, going,
"What can you do? You can do this."
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and they did have that short battle, didn't they? When she jumped over and slashed. That was a really cool scene.
That was fun.
That's everything for battle for me. Anything extra?
Battle-wise, not really. I think we've covered those battles. Yeah. Worst part? Do you reckon? Any worst parts?
I think just some of the Force additions, they could be taken. How come they didn't do this prior, and some
basically loose end type stuff. Fair enough. I think the last thing that I've thought about really for it is obviously we said this should round off everything, but it seemed to me near the end they tried to say we could do sequels by this.
Through which way?
Through Lando and Janna. Because when
I just found that scene weird.
It was a bit weird, wasn't it? It was Janna saying where are you from, General? Oh, the gold system. What about you? I don't know.
let's find out.
Well, let's find out. So it's like
it was. I don't think that was to potential spin-off, but I think it was more so just like a send-off for the Lando character as opposed to just letting him.
Basically saying he's just going to go on an adventure to try and find out where the Stormtroopers came from, helping them. It's fair, but
I think there will be sequels. I don't know how soon they'll be, and I don't know whether they'll keep these characters.
Yeah,
probably.
They might do incorporate them again
because they've taken the time to build them.
Yeah,
but yeah, I think there are going to be sequels. I don't know if it's going to be them potential side series, but I doubt it because they're not big enough. Like she's literally been introduced in the last hour of the film.
Yeah,
and I doubt the actor who plays Lando because he didn't appear in 7 and 8, which I'm sure he would have been offered to. Only appeared in this for a short period of time, so I don't think
he couldn't do much more, could he? I mean, he's quite old as well. It's you could try though, but I think that if they do any more sequels, they've got to add like Finn and Rey in it.
Yeah,
because it's quite substantial parts of the story now.
Yeah,
and especially seeing as though Rey is like the last Jedi now.
Yeah,
she's got to do something. She's got to train them.
Yeah. You have anything else?
No, I think we've covered everything for this film. We've done quite a good review.
Yeah, it was. I really enjoyed the film. I know it's getting mixed reviews, but I think go and watch it yourself because if you just look at reviews and critics and such like, they're always going to get mixed bag, and they're always going to. I think a lot of them taking from The Last Jedi. I know we've gone back and forth on those films as well, but the film itself is a really enjoyable watch, and if you're a Star Wars fan, or even if you're not a Star Wars fan, then check it out. Thank you very much for listening. We are on social media at Twitter _What's On Podcast, and on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at What's On Podcast. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Bye.